Happiness, something we all desire, yet it often feels like trying to hold water in our hands. Why do we chase happiness, only to find it slipping away when we think we have it? Why does it seem so elusive, always just beyond our grasp? This is the paradox of happiness. We all want it, we all chase it, but once we think we've captured it, it never lasts. In this script, we'll explore the reasons behind this paradox and why happiness is something that often escapes our hold. From the moment we're old enough to understand emotions, we're told that happiness is something to strive for. We pursue it through achievements, relationships, material success, and life experiences. We make plans, set goals, and imagine that reaching them will bring lasting joy. We say to ourselves, "I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when I find the right partner," or "I'll be happy when I finally have enough money." But when we achieve these goals, the satisfaction doesn't last. After the initial joy fades, we find ourselves setting new targets, chasing the next high. This cycle of pursuit and temporary satisfaction repeats itself over and over. Why does happiness seem so fleeting? One explanation lies in a concept called hedonic adaptation. This is the tendency of humans to return to a relatively stable level of happiness, despite significant positive or negative events. Essentially, we adapt to new circumstances, whether good or bad, very quickly. When we achieve something we've been striving for, we feel a burst of joy. But as the novelty wears off, that happiness fades, and we find ourselves back at our baseline, yearning for something new. This is why winning the lottery can make someone ecstatic initially, but within a year, their overall happiness often returns to where it was before the win. It's why the excitement of buying a new car or moving into a dream house fades after a few months. Hedonic adaptation is the psychological mechanism that makes happiness feel so transient, leading us to continuously seek out new sources of joy, only to find them less fulfilling over time. Happiness is often tied to our desires, but desire itself is a double-edged sword. While desire motivates us to pursue goals, it's also a source of dissatisfaction. When we desire something, we acknowledge a lack, a gap between our current state and where we want to be. In this way, desire can create a sense of incompleteness or longing. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer suggested that life swings like a pendulum between desire and boredom. When we don't have what we want, we're restless and dissatisfied. But when we achieve our desires, boredom sets in as we realize that the anticipated joy was not as enduring or fulfilling as we had imagined. This cycle drives the paradox of happiness. We constantly chase what we believe will make us happy, only to find that the joy doesn't last. What if happiness isn't something to be chased, but rather a byproduct of living a meaningful life? Some philosophers argue that the more we chase happiness directly, the more elusive it becomes. This is because the pursuit of happiness often focuses on external conditions, success, wealth, status, rather than internal well-being. The ancient Greek philosophers, particularly those following the Stoic tradition, believed that happiness comes not from external achievements, but from within, from aligning oneself with virtues like wisdom, courage, and justice. According to them, happiness is not something you get from the outside world, but a state of mind that you cultivate through your actions and attitudes. The same idea can be found in modern psychology. Research in positive psychology suggests that happiness comes from practicing gratitude, building strong relationships, engaging in meaningful work, and cultivating a sense of purpose. In this view, happiness isn't the finish line. It's the byproduct of living in accordance with values that matter to you. Another part of the paradox is the illusion that happiness should be constant and permanent. Many of us believe that once we reach a certain goal or fulfill a certain desire, we'll be happy forever. But happiness, like all emotions, is fluid. It ebbs and flows like the tides. No one is happy all the time, and that's not only natural, but necessary. Imagine if we were in a state of constant joy. Would we even recognize it as happiness, or would it just become the new normal? Emotions, both positive and negative, are part of the human experience. Trying to hold on to happiness permanently is like trying to freeze a river in motion. It goes against the nature of life, which is always in a state of flux. What if, instead of seeking happiness, we focused on contentment? Contentment is not about chasing the highs, but finding satisfaction in the present moment, in the small, ordinary experiences of life. It's about accepting that happiness comes and goes, but a deeper sense of well-being can be found in contentment, a feeling of enoughness, regardless of circumstances. Contentment doesn't mean you stop striving or lose your ambitions. It simply means finding joy in the journey, not just the destination. It's about appreciating what you have, even as you work towards what you want. This approach doesn't eliminate desire, but tempers it with a sense of gratitude and acceptance. So why do we chase what we cannot keep? Perhaps it's because we're wired to do so. Evolutionarily, seeking more resources, more security, more comfort has driven human progress. But in our modern world, this instinct can lead to an endless pursuit of more without ever feeling truly satisfied. Recognizing the paradox of happiness means accepting that the chase itself will never bring the fulfillment we seek. Instead, it's about finding moments of happiness in the here and now, even if they are fleeting. It's about letting go of the idea that happiness must be permanent or tied to external achievements. The paradox of happiness invites us to rethink what it means to be truly happy. Instead of chasing it as a goal, we might find that happiness emerges when we stop trying to hold on to it. It's found in the small, unexpected moments of life, in connection, in creativity, in kindness, in curiosity. It's found when we let go of the pressure to always be happy and allow ourselves to simply be, with all the highs and lows, joys and sorrows that come with being human. Happiness, like all emotions, will come and go. But the pursuit of a meaningful life, one lived with purpose and intention, might lead to something even deeper, a sense of peace, of contentment, and a life well lived. So perhaps the real question isn't why we chase happiness, but why we think it's something we need to catch in the first place.